My dear friends, you got Gord here, your hurtin' hippie, with Weedy Weekend number 86. Should have been out last week, but had a busy day with both my sons, and my little one was here, so I decided there wasn't as many stories as there usually is, so I skipped a week. Sorry, my friends, I hope you'll forgive. This week, I've got jam-packed episodes, so it may take a while. Bear with me, please. There are a lot of things to discuss here. I'm just moving them around and starting with the first one, which was an incredible video that was really fun to watch. The story is mostly just the video. Press play, watch it. What it is something that shows you visually how cannabis affects the cannabinoid receptors and how THC kills cancer. Some cancers. It will cure some cancers. Yes, the studies aren't out. Yes, at least the studies that the government will consider good enough to change the rating of cannabis. But this is a really important thing where, it was the early 90s when they found the cannabinoid receptors, CB1 and CB2, and at first they thought CB1 was only in the brain, CB2 in the organs, in the body. They have since found CB1 is mostly the brain and all the immune system organs. Very important there. Very important. So it's a good video. I think you should watch it. I do recommend you watch it. I will have it below as the first link. Not too much to say because there aren't words here to discuss with you. But it moves me into, because I talked about studies, more and more, at least Canada is coming forward. I shared a month and a half ago, that the Arthritis Society of Canada was going to study cannabis and fibromyalgia, a 3-year study. I do have my name in for that, and I am in talks with them. Don't know if I'll have anything to do with it yet, but I love that it's there, that Canada is coming forward with this. This is the University of Alberta joining together with a few other universities to finally do some real studies with real children about how CBD and THC affects epilepsy. This is really important, and the next few stories, this one already, this one and the next few really touch my heart, and I know a lot of you. It'll touch yours too. I still get so mad at the fact that not only are so many seniors for the last 80 years who could have had a better last many years have been stripped away from them for 80 years because of illegality, because of prohibition. But these children, I'm going to read something, because even part of this still shows they're playing into the powers that be to not rock the boat and say what's truly truth. They obfuscate. They work around the details, make it muddy, make it difficult to really call them on what they say. I'm going to read this. Parents are becoming more aware of the use of cannabis to treat epilepsy from social media and parent support groups, said Richard Tang Wai, a pediatric epileptologist at the University of Alberta. Because there's little scientific evidence regarding the use of cannabis products in children, most physicians are reluctant to prescribe them, resulting in parents trying to make their own preparations at home or turning to suppliers who cannot verify the quality of their product. This adds to the urgency of doing studies like this. I so agree, but there's hidden truth in these truths he speaks. He talks about there there is little scientific evidence. I find that difficult to believe. There is little scientific evidence that they're willing to call evidence because it's anecdotal. But if any time somebody goes to prove it anecdotally and it proves it anecdotally, then the sheer culmination of so much anecdotes kind of put that all together. You have data to make some scientific theories from which to move forward and turn them into scientific fact. This isn't being done. They just keep saying the studies that are out there aren't good enough. They are good enough. Many Canadian study groups many universities have been starting to take all these smaller studies and stop calling them anecdotal and using them as data from which to provide theoretic suppositions going forward. Tang Wai is partnering with Richard Huntsman, a pediatric neurologist at the University of Saskatchewan, to lead the study how CBD, a chemical found in marijuana, could change the quality of life for children suffering from severe epilepsy and what interaction CBD oils could have with other approved treatments for epilepsy. So they are going to go to some really difficult lengths. They are going to the children that already have the epilepsy that doesn't currently have good medicine for it, and they're going to start using CBD. It has some more interest to read further if you wish. The wonderful thing about it is we've got University of BC, University of Alberta, and University of Saskatchewan all getting together to provide some real evidence, because I know what the outcome will be, and we're about to see what the outcome is in some others. I'm moving on from this one. Again, that'll be down below from the Edmonton Journal. This next story comes from King 5. It's about a mom trying to change the marijuana laws in Washington because currently the CBD that she can get out of stores in Washington is not adequate. She needs to get from other people oils that have been modified at home because they're of higher potency. I keep talking about this. Even when I've been talking with even nurses about this, is since when do we put limits on the amount of the medicine that can be pure, on the purity, limits on the purity, when it's pureness that strips away all the other issues? We need some good science behind this because the proof is out there. You watch this girl, this woman, her daughter was diagnosed to have maximum 6 months to live after being born. She's now 3 and she's working. She's got her calm and living in a better form of life than she ever had before. But she's fighting to get the laws changed so that now she's fighting on 2 fronts. She's fighting on the front to be able to get stronger medicine grown in home batches and made at home. That should be legal. And if the government, I don't believe in government providing, but if the government can't provide that, then the government should provide the medicine at the efficacy that is required for these kinds of ailments. It should be up to the doctor, the purity, not up to politicians who don't even understand what CBD means. That one was a little more difficult to watch and to see because I see these young children that suffer from epilepsy, that suffer from other brain diseases, and CBD is the grease for the brain. in 20 years from now, after all these studies have proven this over and over, and we've gotten better at the medicine and cured a bunch of disease, we're going to be looking back at these times, and we're going to think pretty badly of the people that stood in the way of this medicine. And that brings me to this next one. I'm going to have some CBD while I'm with you from Pura Vida, their new pen top. A much stronger pen top. It's going to be carried at MMJ in a while. I don't have a date yet, and it will be a little more expensive than the plastic ones. They're harder to toke off of. This doesn't last as long either. Pluses and minuses to both, but this is just CBD. Just CBD. This next story goes quite strongly along with the last couple in the medical arena. It's 5 ways cannabis can help seniors. And I keep fighting it, but I'm at the junior end of senior. So first, let's just say, here are what this group of nurses say they have seen cannabis work very well towards. In fact, here are just some of the common conditions plaguing elderly individuals, conditions that cannabis has been shown to be very effective for. Cancer, Alzheimer's disease, arthritis, chronic pain, glaucoma, depression, sleep disorders, fibromyalgia, diabetes, anxiety, osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease. That's just some. That's some of the majors, and I have 4 of them. As nurses, our goal is to create an environment where patients can feel and experience an increase in the quality of life, physically, psychologically, socially, and spiritually, Nurse Heather says. Cannabis is a gentle and effective medicine in helping patients experience those benefits. I love nurses. I love nurses, not just because a lot of them are cute in their outfits. I love nurses because they have the right attitude. The doctors, bless them, they went into doctoring to look after people and make them healthy. But nurses spend their time with those people and continue. I think over time, some doctors lose their ability to be empathetic and even sometimes sympathetic because they're just too busy. They're just too narrow focused, and it's not their fault. I'm not blaming them. But nurses, they understand that medicine is there to increase a person's quality of life. I have to say, even though I still have a very difficult time with my depression, my PTSD, my spondylosis of the C-spine, my fibromyalgia, I still have difficulties daily. Today is a really hard day. Very little sleep last night, and no way I can go anywhere today. But it would have been worse had I been on all the pharmaceuticals I used to be on. My days never used to start when I was on pharmaceuticals, no way my day started till noon or 1 or 2. Now my day starts at my day starts at 6, but it's a couple hours of nursing a bad bowel. But my day usually starts 10 or 11. I have a better quality of life. I'm smiling more often than I used to. Is it perfect? Not yet, because they haven't been able to get in there and find the way to improve upon this already wonderful medicine. So, the first reason that, as I said, this story is 5 ways that cannabis helps seniors. The first one is quality of life. And I agree. That's number 1. When you're old, I'm going to read this part to you. As my grandma used to joke with me, the golden years are not always golden. During the aging process, major changes occur throughout the body. Cells become less adept at functioning. Bones tend to become less dense, and muscle tissue begins to wear down. We have a tough enough life already. Our bodies are starting to slowly shut down because we're reaching the end of our lives. But that shouldn't be painful. We should be doing the best we can for our seniors to keep their quality of life as high as possible until those days. So that's the number one. Number two, cannabis is a multi-dimensional medicine. I love that statement. Rather than mixing potential harmful and conflicting chemicals, and I'm inputting this, pharmaceuticals, cannabis is an all-natural medicine with 0 reported overdose fatalities. In fact, cannabis is used for treating so many conditions. It is likely one of the most diverse medications on the planet. From topicals to tinctures to cannabis-infused cuisine, there are numerous combinations and medical applications of this plant. Number 3, cannabis is safer than prescription drugs. Prescription drugs, almost all of them, hurt your liver or kidney or both and play havoc on the other organs. Just read the warning labels. Did you know that overdose deaths involving prescription opioids have quadrupled since '99, along with the prescription rate of said opioids? So as they prescribe more, the deaths go up. While many people assume opiate-related incidents only inflict younger individuals, the numbers tell a different story. Over 2.8 million seniors are reported to have abused prescription drugs in the last year. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration anticipates the number to reach over 4.4 million seniors by 2020. Number 4 reason it helps seniors, cannabis supports a sense of community and purpose. This is really important. With cannabis, and because of cannabis, I have met many of you and many of the people I now have around me as a support group. Prior to cannabis, I really had nobody but family. And when you're a senior, even an active senior, life becomes more lonely. Friends start disappearing. Family, especially our own parents, our mom and dad, leave us. Life becomes lonely and sad. This changes that. This helps in that area. That's a really important thing for seniors. Seniors develop a lot of loneliness. And number 5, cannabis is a revolution in healthcare. The elderly population in the U.S. is anticipated to be double by 2050. In some countries, the senior population is expected to quadruple. Many of these individuals over the coming years will end up in nursing homes. So let's get a better quality of life out there, and maybe our seniors can be much more committed to the community rather than the community committed to looking after them in senior homes. I went a long time on that story. I did warn you all today would be a little longer than usual. We are now moving on in a very related story. Medical marijuana medicine. Just a minute. Medicine Hat Senior says process to get medical marijuana is too complicated. I have quite a few videos on this. Health Canada has really made this difficult. It's difficult enough for a young adult who's got access to every bit of information in the world through their phones and all the electronics and everything. But take a senior who in today's world gets prescribed. I'm going to read what Medicine Hat Senior Judith Brooke had never touched marijuana in her entire life before last month. The 75-year-old, 10 years younger than my dad, suffers from severe sciatica. The pain in her lower back was so bad it made her immobile for months. She says she tried Oxycontin and Percocet first, but had allergic reactions to both. Then December, her family doctor authorized her for medical marijuana use. This is her speaking. I was aware of the illegal stuff, and that's the way I related cannabis. And so when the doctor suggested that I take medical cannabis, I thought, oh well, I'm into the natural way anyway. So to me, medical cannabis is much more natural than Percocet. However, she says the next steps were extremely frustrating. She was referred to a licensed grower. Yes, the Health Canada doctor will refer you to a list of LPs, licensed producers. It was up to her to find the right product with very little information to go on. I didn't know what to look for, she says, when I'm faced with going on the internet to the grower's website and I'm looking at these pictures with strange names on them, with percentages on the bottom. I thought, I'm looking at a biology sheet. How am I supposed to decide? The poor lady. I personally, any of you know somebody who needs to learn, my channel is about that. But because I saw that there isn't that out there, there are very few places, even here in Calgary is a place called Natural Health Services. They have a two-pronged appointment process. You first go in, you see the doctor, they talk about how many grams per day you should need, what you're taking it for. They don't talk about strains, they don't talk about how to find what you really need, but they say, okay, 4 grams a day, 2 grams a day, 1 gram a day. Then the second part is you go see somebody who teaches you a little bit about what a plant is and what they may even touch on CBD versus THC, but they mostly just introduce you to the licensed producers that only have dry product and very low-end oil, and they say choose one. For somebody who already knows about marijuana, this can still be rather, I'm choosing my medicine? I thought the doctor chooses my medicine. Rather difficult. But for a senior who's never touched it, it's absolutely mind-boggling. So this is a really good story. I've read a lot more of these stories, but than usual, and so I'm 22 minutes on, but we're near the end. Next is Gum for Guts. And this one makes me throw out a warning. I had another one called Rheumatoid Arthritis Patients Are Using Medical Marijuana. Here's why. I didn't share it. I'm sharing this one, Gum for Guts, because it isn't talking about a specific gum. It's talking about gum as a use. It's a good story. Where the rheumatoid arthritis story, as I read along, was specific to a product. It was once again, and I keep warning you guys about this, sometimes stories are presented as somewhat scientific and research-like, but if they're pointing at one product and saying this product by this company is what you need to get, it's a commercial. It may be using a lot of good data, but once they're trying to steer you to one specific product, walk away. Walk away. That isn't good. You need to decide your own products. Peace and cheers. Now, as for this Gum for Guts, I didn't highlight anything here. What I just want to say is that what they're doing is they're looking at a CBD gum that would be 5 or 10 milligrams of CBD in it, and they're going to do a study with quite a few people, both placebo and the regular gum, to see how well a gum that is constantly delivered straight to the gut can help with irritable bowel syndrome. They make a few that perhaps CBD can cure IBS. I tend to doubt that. I do a lot of CBD and it has curbed it. I seldom have mornings like I had this morning, but it hasn't cured it. My mornings are still debilitating. But being delivered, like I take a 10 milligram pill when I wake, or sometimes on the weekends because I try to sleep longer on the weekends. I may take it and go back and lay down. So first thing in the morning, I take a CBD pill, but I'm throwing the CBD in there. It starts to relieve me. I start to feel a little better, but maybe a gum where it's releasing it slower but more consistently might provide better relief. I would love to try it. I would love to try it. Next story is 7 more scientific studies that show marijuana is safe. As I said, the U of A even said there's no scientific studies, only anecdotal evidence. But here are 7 studies, and there's thousands. 7 specific studies that show that cannabis is safe and a medicine. There are very few substances in this world that would be 100% harmless to the human body. No psychoactive substance is totally harmless, but science proves that marijuana is safer than many other substances. Science also proves it is one of the more significant substances available when it comes to therapeutic treatment. A recent study in Canada has proven that marijuana is safe for medicinal purposes over a long period of time. Yes, Canadian Marijuana Daily studied people with chronic pain they were tested over a year by taking 2.5 grams of cannabis daily for their chronic pain. And they also found that pharmaceutical painkillers used as an alternative to treat chronic pain in the other test group proved to be less effective and more dangerous than marijuana. There were more studies done in 2016 around that. Marijuana, lower BMI detected when marijuana is consumed. I'll let you read that, but it definitely helps in weight loss and healthy eating. Also studies, there's a link to a study, marijuana use and IQ change. No adverse impact on IQ by marijuana. Used to say that it would make you dumber. It does not. If anything, it increases your ability to focus. Another one, marijuana users have better in-hospital survival rates. There's something I'd never heard before. Researchers from the University of Northern Colorado, Colorado State University, and the University of Alabama studied the relationship between marijuana use and health outcomes in 3.9 hospitalized patients nationwide. They looked at the correlation between marijuana use and survival rates, specifically when they suffered from cancer. The conclusion was that marijuana users had a significantly lower rate of mortality while in hospital in comparison to cancer or other patients. Really, really important. Another study, unlike alcohol, smoking marijuana lowers aggression. Lowering aggression in today's society. Wow, could we use that? And lastly, they talk about marijuana use during pregnancy and how it was likely overstated by investigators at the state of Washington who said that the study proved that it was causing smaller babies. But the study truly showed that smoking cannabis and cigarettes was doing that. So it refers to stating that it was the cigarettes, it was the tobacco that was causing that, not the cannabis. There are many studies about marijuana, CBD especially, during pregnancy, helping the pregnancy. So do I promote it? Do I denote it? I don't do either. I am on the fence on this one because more studies are required. We need to know more. We want to help ladies have a better carrying time, pregnancy, and the babies be healthier when they come out. If that means stay away from it, stay away from it. If it means have it, have it. If it means that it's got to be on an individual basis, which is much more likely, let's have it. And we are now to the final story. A story that I need to calm down first, CBD. I'm going to read my own. There is a story that was produced by the Toronto Star. Now, the Toronto Star is as much a rag as any other of the Suns and that kind of newspaper, but their story was illegal pot shops should close down. Now, what they're basically saying is that there was a rash of robberies on pot shops, armed robberies on pot shops, and that because of these criminals, we should shut down the medical dispensaries that are providing medicine that the LPs cannot provide to people who really need it. This was my statement when I shared it in Google. They state the facts, sure, that in 8 months there have been a dozen robberies of dispensaries, but they take it too far after that. They blame the product in the store as if the crooks would have done nothing wrong if there were no dispensary. They also do not say how many armed robberies have happened to other types of stores. Why? Because it would negate the diatribe they are pushing. This is just crap. It's dumb reporting for sure, because you don't blame the store for the robbery. You blame the robbers. And they aren't robbing the place because it's pot. They're robbing the place because the police are not providing any protection to people who have valid business licenses operating in a strip mall or a small place. They have business licenses. Yes, if they are providing recreational, to me, I think they need to just let this be and just monitor and manage and do what Vancouver did and come up with some regulations to keep them in check. Rather than, I blame the cops for this rash of robberies and the crooks themselves because they did it, but I blame the cops because the cops, the only time they'll go to a dispensary is when they want to shut it down. They won't drive by, they won't look after it, they won't, I think the crooks felt that at least for a short term, they could come across quite a few of these stores and rob them, because by the time the police got there, they'd be gone, because they even talk in the story that it's difficult to call 911 from a dispensary because you think you're going to get arrested even though you're being robbed. We need to resolve this. The local communities want these stores. The local business licenses are being given so the stores can open. The stores, as long as they're operating with, what's lacking is a network of regulations that tell the store what's right and what's wrong while waiting for legalization to be full force. If they don't have regulations, then I think most of them do their best to live up to what would be right while still giving medicine to people who need medicine. That's the important piece here that they keep missing when it comes to talk of dispensaries, is they are providing a need that the government is not providing. So many liberal-minded people, and hey, I'm not against you, I just don't believe in big government and government providing. I believe in people providing. But if you do believe in the government providing for people, then the government has to provide the full range of medicine at LPs, shatter, concentrated oils, topicals, edibles, everything. because cancer patients, dying patients, epileptic children, all these people need that medicine, and it's not being provided by the government you say should provide everything. So in the meantime, these dispensaries pop up because there is a need. If there was no real need, well, first of all, the Supreme Court of Canada wouldn't have said that it's our right if there was no need. So it's already backed by our major top law enforcement in the country, and that's our Supreme Court. So it's time to get off the pot and start paying attention to what's real and stop obfuscating the facts by hiding them behind corners and trying to blame wrong individuals who are trying to supply to a need. We need to change the laws. You need to talk to your MPs, and you need to tell RPM that waiting until 2018, 2019, 2020, another election cycle, isn't going to work for him. Get moving. Get off the pot and get on the pot. Peace and cheers. Love and harmony. If you see someone without a smile today, give them one of yours. They need it. You have it. Peace.